Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. Minimal contact in stadiums shouldn't stop the usual suspects from going down. Gamble responsibly. Gamblingcare.ie.
All right, it is that time of the week. John Giles is with us. Good evening, John.
Evening, Nathan.
There's a lot to get through. We'd Liverpool, Manchester United at the weekend. We've had the lead of the Premier League table change hands 3 times. We've Liverpool back in action this evening. But I didn't want to let the week pass without touching on Wayne Rooney's retirement as a footballer. It does feel as though that we've already talked a lot about his career in the sort of 3 years since he left Everton, though he did continue playing in America and over the last couple of seasons with Derby. It's a difficult career to distill when you look at what he's achieved as Manchester United's all-time leading scorer, as England's all-time leading scorer. He was just unfortunate in ways that he lived in the era of Messi and Ronaldo, and the comparison to those two players always seemed to dog him throughout his career.
Yeah, it is difficult, Nathan, and I might be saying things here now that people mightn't like, mightn't be fair to him. I think he's been a terrific player, Nathan. And I think he's got all the records, which is great. But I'd have to. Well, I often ask myself, did he make the most of what he had? And I don't think so. I think he was marching on to greatness before he got an injury when he was about 26, 27, Nathan. And I don't think he marched on from there. Now that sounds, I don't mean to be cruel to him. I think he's been a terrific player. But, I mean, you know, Ronaldo, Messi are still playing, still doing their stuff. You know, I think when you have the talent that he has, I think you're obliged to squeeze the last drop from it, Nathan. And I don't really feel that was the case. Now, I admired him. I think he's a terrific lad. I wish him all the best in his managing career. But that's what I honestly feel about him as a player.
Himself and Ronaldo were obviously teammates at Manchester United at a moment when Ronaldo was really just becoming that all-time great before his move to Real Madrid. What was it when you look at their career paths from then on, from sort of 08, 09, that saw Ronaldo go on to be in that conversation around the greatest players of all time, whereas the debate around Rooney's gone a very different way?
I think Ronaldo had it in him and desperately wanted to do what he's done and has done, and so does Messi. You know, Wayne is relatively young to be finished when he did, Nathan. As I say, he had that injury. I know he got a bad injury with his knee. And I think he was really, really marching on at that stage to be one of the greats. You know, when you're talking about the greats, you're talking about, you know, Ronaldo, Messi, Bobby Charlton at Old Trafford, for example. And, you know, what he did was terrific. There's no doubt about that. But I just say, could it have been better? Could it have been better? Yeah, I think it could. With what he had, Nathan.
Because I was going to ask that because of when he burst onto the scene and everybody remembers the goal against Arsenal and they remember the name and how he emerged at Manchester United and the hat-trick on his debut in the Champions League. Expectations were so high. And again, you talk about the records, the amount of trophies he won. Were we in a way maybe expecting too much from him?
I don't think so, Nathan. Again, I don't want to be hard on him because I loved him as a player, and he was a terrific player, and the records he had were terrific. And obviously, could it have been better? I think it could. You know, I don't think he marched on to be one of the really greats, to be honest. I don't think you couldn't put him up there with Messi, and that's the standard that's set for world-class players, whether it be Ronaldo or Messi at the moment. I mean, Ronaldo was 34, I think. Messi's around 33, Mark. And they're still doing it because they really, really want to do it. You know, I think he just settled for what he had. It was comfortable, did well, did better than most. But did he do the best he had? I just don't think so. And I don't want to be cruel to him. I think he's a good lad. But I have to be honest, when I'm talking about players particularly, Nathan, I've seen players in my time who were regarded as great players, and they weren't. And I saw players who were great players and weren't regarded as such. That's the only thing I have in my own head. With Wayne Rooney, after his injury, I don't think he marched on. He was still very good, really, really good. But great, I don't think so.
Right. I was wondering about that comparison, because you're in such a good position to give it from, say, the Charlton Law era through. Sorry,
Nate, I'm only giving you my opinion. It doesn't mean I'm right, but that's what I really feel about him. You know, I mean, you look at the great players, and in my time, it was who was it in my time? Puskas, and Di Stefano, and these guys. You know, and then you had Maradona coming along. Maybe he could have done a bit more, but what he did was extraordinary.
And John, you are comparing him there with the greats of all time.
Yes.
So did you see in those first 3-4 years when he was breaking through from, say, 16 on to 20 and emerging at Manchester United, that there was actually the talent there at one stage
definitely.
that he could have got to that?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. I mightn't be saying it very well, Nathan. I think when he came on as a young fella at Everton, he was terrific. I think the 3, 4, 5 seasons at Old Trafford, he was marching on to this greatness that these others had. And for some reason or other, maybe he felt he'd done enough. This happens with people. And he was still doing okay. But was he doing what Bessie was doing and Di Stefano was doing and Puskas was doing in their day? I don't think so. I don't think so.
What was it that actually did make him as good as he was?
Well, first of all, you start off with the ambition to do it. You know, effort. You see, it's the older you get, the harder it becomes. You know, and again, there might be a financial situation, and he's a very wealthy lad. I think he was a very wealthy lad when he was about 26, 27. And it's a desire. It's a desire to do it. I think to really march on to the greatness that these other lads achieved, it stopped. Now, it was still very good, I'd have to say. But great, no, I don't think so.
Let's talk about his former club then, Manchester United, who are back on top of the Premier League after the win last night against Fulham, and a scoreless draw, another dull enough game against Liverpool with all the hype around it. I was thinking a lot of your line that you come out with around taking each game and its merits, because that seemed to come up a lot after this match, that Manchester United, I think Gary Neville used the analogy of looking at Liverpool like the toughest hole in the golf course, where actually it wasn't that in hindsight. Should Manchester United have shown more ambition considering Liverpool's problems in that game?
Well, you heard the talk all week, Nathan. Would you settle for a draw here? And the general consensus seemed to be, coming from the club, yes, we would, yeah. And it's again, you hear it. You have to take each game as it comes, Nathan. You just don't know what's going to happen. And certainly in your head, if you've got a draw in your head, you're not going to do any better than that. And I might have said to you before on the programme, I played with Don Revie. Don Revie away from home would be very, very cautious. And I saw us playing, and he was a great manager, and I admired him greatly. But I did play in matches where we drew them, we should have won them. I never played in a match where we were settling for a draw, Nathan, that we won.
Right.
It's a mindset. A point away from home would be great here. That was the talk last week. Would you settle for a draw for Liverpool or for Manchester? Oh, yeah, away from home in Anfield. Yeah, settle for a draw. That's what they got. In Liverpool's sake, I think they did go for it more than Manchester United. Manchester United played well. They defended well. They could have. I mean, as far as the possession of the ball was concerned, it was definitely Liverpool's. As far as the chances were concerned, it was Manchester United's.
Yeah.
I mean, Fernandes' chance and Pogba's chance particularly were by far and away the best chances of the game. And that's when the mentality, in my opinion, comes into it. And again, I keep going back, and in my time playing, if we draw here, it'd be a great result, because I keep hearing it all the time. Great, and I know people when I was on the television used to say, "You take each game on its merits. You don't know before you go into it. But if you've got a chance to win it, win it." But if you talk about draw, and you have a chance to win it, you don't win it, Nathan. You just don't. That was my experience of it, and it might be typical last week that Manchester United came away from a draw when they could have won it. I don't think they deserve to win it now, to be honest, Manchester United. I think in the end a draw was a fair result with the lack of ambition I think Liverpool went for it and they just didn't have it. You know, things are not quite right there. I think the Salah situation is not great, Nathan. There was talk again last week in the foreign paper that he wasn't happy about the situation, and it looks to me like this is an agent doing his job, Nathan, and it can disrupt the club very, very much. And I think what's happened to in the tactical sense, I think they didn't have enough width last week, I think, Liverpool to do it. So, and Salah was down the middle. I think he should have pushed out to the wing, where he did at one stage. Don't forget, scored a lot of goals from the right wing, which gives you a bit of width when you're up against a defence like that. And that didn't happen. But I think overall, a draw was a fair result. Fernandes wasn't up to his best on the day. He looked a bit tired, and he looked a bit tired the other night against Fulham as well. And Pogba played quite well at Anfield. So I think overall a draw was a fair result, Nathan.
Yeah, but by the sounds of what you're saying, it's very difficult for a team, when you've spoken pre-match about a draw being a good result, to change that when you're actually in the midst of a game and you realise that this isn't the Liverpool of a year ago that Manchester United played at Anfield, that there's a weakness there that they could take advantage of? Yeah,
you see, once you have a mindset going into the match, Nathan, it doesn't change during the game. You don't have time to change it during the game. You know, a mindset's a mindset. And that's why when I was on the television, you used to take the mickey out of me all the time. Take the game on its merits. Like when you go to Anfield, you don't such thing as a draw is a good result. A draw is only a good result if you deserve to be beaten. But if you deserve to win, go and take it. Go and take it. You know, that's what you have to do. But if you have a mindset for 3 or 4 days before a match, which seemed to be the case, and it is the case with lots of teams going into away matches particularly, a draw would be a great result here. I played in teams that did it, Nathan. But we talked about it. You know, a draw would be a great result here. And especially when we played in Europe with Don, you know, right, a draw would be a great result here. I saw it with loads of matches, quite a few matches anyway, Nathan. I thought we could have won that game.
Yeah.
But we didn't.
Yeah.
A mindset's a mindset. You know, you talk about the game. Everything is psychological. You approach the game, playing in the game, how you approach it. You can't change your mind during the game. You know what I mean? If you have that, I think that's what you're trying to find out from me. That you don't get together and say, "Come on, lads, we can beat these." Yeah. It doesn't happen. You've been talking 3 or 4 days about a draw being a great result, and you're happy with it.
I guess it does show the progress for Manchester United over the last year. Well, you only have to look at the table for the progress that they've made. That they've gone to Anfield and they've created the better chances, and then they followed it up last night against Fulham, where maybe they weren't at their very best at times. Yet again, they went behind early. They showed a lot of character to come through. The momentum that's building there for United, are you seeing something that maybe you didn't see at the start of the season in terms of their ability to go and keep going till the end of the season in a title race?
Yeah, at times you see it, Nathan, and then other times you don't. I mean, I watched the match last night against Fulham, and that was obviously the one. I mean, a great goal from Pogba, there's no doubt, great goal from that. But Fernandes again looked tired. He wasn't up to his usual best game at last night. And Fulham did come into the game. You know, if Fulham had it's all ifs and buts. But if Fulham had a finisher tonight, it could have been a different story altogether. You know, I think what's happened this season in relation to the past couple of seasons where you had Manchester City doing what they did and Liverpool doing what they did, that's not there this year. So it's given everybody a chance. Yeah. I mean, Leicester did their stuff last night, you know, Chelsea, and they're up there. Yeah. I mean, we've had leaders of the table, 3 or 4 different leaders in the last 5 or 6 weeks. That's the season that's in it. But Manchester United have improved. There's no doubt about it. What we need from them now, or what they need from themselves, is a consistency now of performance to do what's needed to be done, to grab it while there's a chance to do it, while Manchester City are not quite doing their stuff, although they have improved a lot, and Liverpool not doing what they did in the last couple of years.
On Liverpool then, because we have the commentary of their game against Burnley coming up shortly, 3 games without a goal. While there were positive signs, certainly at times during that game, particularly maybe in the performance of Thiago, it does feel very flat at the moment for Liverpool. How does Klopp go about turning this around, that they don't find themselves in a position with a tough run of games coming up after tonight against Burnley? How does he get them back to where they were so they don't find themselves so far behind that when form does return, they're out of the title race?
Well, Nathan, you just hit on a thing there. You know, the way you were saying there, I think you were saying, well, they played the better teams, or they played the lesser teams, now they're going into the better team. It doesn't work that way. I mean, on paper, if you look at the results they've had against the lesser teams, Nathan, you know, it's been terrible. You know, but that's what happens. Now, as we know, they've had a lot of injuries, but I still think Liverpool will win the league, Nathan.
Right. You still think they'll turn it around? I do.
You know, they haven't been far away with all the injuries that they've had.
Yeah.
They haven't been far away, and they're still there as well.
And does he need to change something, John? Does he need to change something, or does he just have to put his trust in those players, that there's enough talent there, enough experience there, that they can turn this round themselves? Or do you have to go and try something radical, change the system, bring some new players in? No, you don't change the system at all. I mean, there's only one system, Nathan, with the top team. You know, when you have the ball, you have to do as well as you can with it. When you haven't got it, you've got to win it back. Now, I'm not being funny there, but that's the simple tactics in football. Whatever way you put the players, whether it's 4-3-3 or 4-2-2 or whatever you talk about, that's the basic principle of what you have to do. And I think Liverpool have done remarkably well with what they have and the injuries that they've had. I mean, if any other team would have the injuries that they've had, they wouldn't be there or thereabouts. And I think that they've got to get the Salah thing worked out. I think that is a bit of a minus for them. Any talk in the paper, believing or not, and get them playing wide on the right. Now, I still think they've got the best panel of players, Nathan. It hasn't gone as well for them as it did last year, but last year was particularly good. But if I was putting money on it, and as you know, I don't have a gamble, but I'd still go with Liverpool to win the league. Right. Chelsea were a team that not that long ago were being talked about as potential title contenders. It's all fallen apart over the last few weeks for Frank Lampard, and well beaten by Leicester this week in Brendan Rodgers.
Yes.
What is the problem? They spent a huge amount of money during the summer. A lot of attacking talent has come into the club. They spent money in the defence as well, with Chilwell and Thiago Silva arriving in. Yet they seem as far away as they've ever been from contending for the title. And they seem, I'm watching them the last night, they seem like a team without any sort of a great understanding of what their manager wants them to do. What's your assessment of it?
Well, if you look at their panel of players, they've got a terrific panel of players, Nathan. But I don't see them when I watch them play as a team. You know, like you have to say the right side of player. You have to have a balance. If you look at the names, they're terrific, but there doesn't seem to be a balance in the team. In other words, I think there's too many players alike, Nathan.
Right. You
know, if you look at the midfield alone, you know, you Kante, Jorginho, young Gilmore, I think it could be the best of them. You know, Mount is playing. They've played about six midfield players who are very, very good and would be a big help to any other team.
Yeah.
But they don't gel.
Is that down to the manager?
Up front. Sorry, Nathan.
Does a good manager figure out the best three? Does he figure out the best three attackers when, I'm sure you're going to go through the long list of options they have there as well? Does a better, more experienced manager figure that out?
It's tried a few different ways, Nathan. But again, like we're talking about tactics and various things now, which is fine. But did you watch the match last night, Nathan?
Yeah.
Right. How did the first goal come about against them?
Just a ball over the top.
No, it was a short corner kick.
Oh, the short corner. Sorry. Yeah.
Right. Now, I don't know Frank Lampard, but I like what I see of him on the telly. But I was very disappointed when I saw that, Nathan. That is a basic, right? In other words, they only had one out for the corner kick with two players against them.
Yeah.
Right? That should never, ever, ever happen. Right? Because you can talk about 4-2-2 and 3-4-5 and 14. This is the basic things that make and break a game. It's nothing about formations. It's being disciplined. See, what I find in management generally, right? You know before you go on the pitch, there's going to be goal kicks for you, goal kicks against. Throw-ins for you, throw-ins against. Free kicks outside the box for you and against. Corner kicks, there's corner kicks for you and against. Now, before you go on the pitch, you can do something about all of those things. you can make sure that nobody takes a short corner kick against you. Your line-up for free kicks has to be right. All those things, marking up from throw-ins, getting quickly on the ball from throw-ins, that can change games, Nathan.
I don't know if you saw the interview after the match with James Maddison of Leicester, where he spoke about that corner kick, having been involved in it, and how they knew that Chelsea had a habit of maybe switching off from time to time, which is pretty damning.
It's totally damning. It's totally damning, because those are things that you don't talk about players even being good enough or bad enough or whatever you're doing, Nathan. It's being organised. In other words, when this ball goes out of play, this is only my take on football, right? Ball goes out of play, and I always encourage teams I played with and managed, don't have a designated thrower. Get the first person near the ball, right? Let him throw it in, and you find the other team go asleep. In other words, you want to catch the team going to sleep against you. And you were never, ever going to go asleep on anything, whether it be a quick free kick, a free corner kick, a quick throw-in, all that. They're things you never hear people talking about in the game, Nathan. They're talking about 3-4-3 and 3-4. These are the basic things in the game that should never happen. It's something that you can do something about before you go on the pitch. There's lots of things that happen on the pitch you can do nothing about. Somebody beats somebody well, they're a great player, and hits one from 40 yards in the top of the net. But these are basic stuff that I'm talking about. And that was a basic stuff yesterday. And it wasn't a quick corner kick. It was a slow corner kick. And obviously now, to be honest, that's when I doubt the coaching.
Right.
If you're not doing that right, they're the basics. What else are you putting right? Or not putting right?
And does that suggest to you that that's something they haven't been working on, or that they have worked on it, but that the players maybe aren't motivated correctly, or aren't in the right headspace, or aren't backing the manager and putting that extra little bit of effort in that you need to make sure that doesn't happen?
I don't think that was the case, Nathan. In other words, it hasn't been approached. Do you know? That's what happens. It should never happen. Again, I'll go back on it. I know playing from football, when the ball goes out of play, quick throw in. In other words, if the opposition is going to sleep, take advantage of it. But we never go asleep. We never give anything away. Now, that's nothing to do with the tactics that we hear about. These are basic things in the game. I mean, the game is made up of a million little things, Nathan. They're not big things like 4 at the back and 2 at the back and all that various things that we hear about. It's getting tight for corner kicks. Don't ever let a team take advantage. Stay awake. If you're making the wall up, make sure the wall does its thing. Because there's loads of goals scored from corner kicks, free kicks, and things that you'd say, well, that's nothing to do with tactics. You know, tactics is a separate thing, and it's overrated. It's doing the things right. Now, I was disappointed from Chelsea's point of view and from Lampard's point of view that this corner kick actually happened after 6 minutes in the game. And it wasn't a quick corner kick. You know, like I've always believed in the teams that I've been involved. Get out 2 out in the corner kick straight away.
Yeah.
And if they catch on, then you haven't lost anything.
Yeah.
Right? But this was a corner kick. Actually, the 2-on-1, the taker, I think it was, got to the end line and pulled it back, Nathan. And where are the Chelsea players? And I taped it back again to see was it a quick one. It wasn't. It was loads of time, and they were picking up all right, the Chelsea players. But the 2 got out there, and they had loads of times on it.
Yeah.
Leads to a goal, Nathan. This is the things that lead to goals in football. Sometimes they're small things. They're not. They're considered small things, but that's organisation. And you can do something about that. There's lots of things on the pitch when you're playing. Somebody gets the ball, a brilliant player, and dribbles past 4 players. You can't stop them and watch them in the back of the net. You can't do anything about that. The fella's so good. But throw-ins, corner kicks, free kicks, kick-outs, for and against, that's when you can work with the players on that.
Yeah.
And that's what I'd be looking for. And the short corner kick wasn't good to be allowed to be taken like that.
Do you think they should change manager?
No, I'd give him more time. I mean, the corner kick that I'm talking about might be one where they slipped up. I doubt that, but I'd give him more time. I mean, They've spent a lot of money, been under a lot of pressure, spent a lot of money for the players that haven't really done it. Now, did he buy those players or not? I don't know. I'm always wary of Chelsea when they're buying players in. But he's an awful lot of talent there. Yeah. Really a great amount of talent there that he has to make the most of. Now, it does take time. He's a new manager at a new club. I would give him more time.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right, John, we're out of time for this evening, unfortunately, but there's pretty much non-stop football for the next few weeks, so we'll have a lot to talk about next Thursday night. Thanks as always for that.
Okay, Nathan, thank you.